Hi, welcome to my video again. Having another go at the Escort. Goes on and on and on and on. Never ending really. Now, I did almost make a bit of a hash up. Well, possibly. We'd sort of lined all the door and what have you up on it, and the wing and what have you on the front. And then when we just took a few more measurements, I realised that the doorpost was actually nearly 10 mil up on this passenger side versus the driver's side. I'd actually made the posts up on the jig to the post before anything was cut off. But when we took some measurements on the height of where the post was from the floor and from off the side of the jig on some accurate points there, like it became obvious that it was 10 mil different anyway. So there is, I'll show you. There is evidence in here of like where the doors had a bit of a clatter inwards there. So I think what's happened at some point is it's had, I think the wheel has come back here and impacted around the bottom of this doorpost area and pushed upwards there, which has sort of pushed everything up. So this post was up. So what we did is we took we've made a couple of new posts now for the jig, for the door posts, and rather than lining that passenger side one up to what was on there originally, I've made the passenger side post identical to the driver side post here, and we've confirmed it with more measurements. I mean, I can't stress to how important it is to take, if you want it to be right anyway, how important it is to take a load of measurements off these cars, because it can look all right, but it can actually be quite a way out. So yeah, we made another post there, identical to the one on the driver's side, bolted it up on the passenger side here, and for sure we could see that the post, if I'd have continued to sort of weld it in place, it would have gone back together as pretty much as it was, but it wouldn't have been right, if that makes any sense. So basically, we've adjusted that, and I've had to pull the sort of the side of the front corner of the roof down sort of almost 10 mil on that ratchet strap to get it to join back up properly with the post in the same position. So now when I measure off the side of the jig and up to the side, the post on this passenger side is in the same position as the driver's side, which is great. I mean, I plan to replace the bulkhead sections anyway to make it all nice, but you can sort of see where it's sort of left the old bulkhead here, because this sort of corner has been up. It's left that quite proud there, that panel there. So obviously I can correct that when the bulkhead upper and lower goes in. Measuring these forward points, like from here for example, this is measuring off the side of the jig to that point, and I've confirmed it off the floor as well. That's measuring right side to side, and when I measure like off the rear quarter to the side of the jig and to the floor, like off the swage line, that matches the driver's side. So it was literally just this doorpost here had not been in the right place. So I suppose it's a good thing really, because I'm making it better, I think, once it gets back together. I looked at some pictures of the car from when it was sold, and I could see that the front near side front edge of the door and stuff, you could definitely see it weren't great. But I've looked at loads of these Mark 2 Escorts now, and invariably the lines on them aren't that good, are they? That's the reality. If you've been looking at newer stuff and then you start looking at one of these, well, they're all over the place, aren't they? But still, I want to do as best a job as possible, and I want my jig to be repeatable as well. So thankfully, it appears to be just that post. So everything else, obviously, is square. I mean, all the other fittings I've made for the jig, like the the rear attachments, those attachments going up to where the spring mounting points are, and these front chassis leg ones here and what have you. These are all sort of comparable sizes side to side, so they're the same. Whereas the old the door posts that I'd made originally, which are here, these obviously I've made these up to the doors. I'll just quickly show you so you can see. Line them up there like that. So if you look there at where the door, these two fittings here, obviously on the one side, you can see the sort of difference. The one side was that much higher. Crazy, isn't it? you know, the posts are the same height. I mean, obviously they're tilting a little bit, so they might look a little bit out there, but they're not. They are the same height. So you know, if I hold that straight, in fact, it makes the gap a little bit worse, doesn't it? On where the so you can see, because those were bolting into the old hinge holes on either side. The driver's side, luckily, looks pretty decent, like it hasn't had any action. So I think it's just this passenger side, and that was the worst point. This bit I originally started with here, with it all, and I think that's why it's gone so bad there, because it's had, you know, it has had a fair impact there, and all that post was definitely not right. So yeah, so moving on from that now, I'm back to a position where it's looking pretty good now. It's tack fastened in down the pillar, but I just need to correct this line on the sill now. I just need to, obviously that's, you know, where the sill's going down the bottom of the door. I just want to get that a little tighter at the front there. Measure off that sort of the corner edge of the radius of the sill down to the edge of the jig. I'm sitting about 5mm lower on this side versus the other side, so I think I need to cut them little tack welds off and reattach the sill to the post in the correct position, and then should be able to put some tacks in there and start making some inroads. I think then on potentially, I'll tidy this chassis rail up, just get that fastened into place, and then try and get something going with the floor in there, which would be great, wouldn't it? And then I think it'll be a case of potentially moving forwards on either doing the floor on the other side or starting on doing something with the front end. I'm sort of hoping I start to make some big inroads on progress-wise, but, well, you can't rush it, can you? Otherwise you're going to make mistakes, and then I don't want to end up with a finished product that looks like it's been done wrong, or it's, you know, because I'll know, even if somebody else doesn't know, I'll know, and it'll do me head in because I want it right. Right, so hopefully you can perhaps relate to that. It's a struggle, this stuff is. It's real hard work, hard going. To do it properly, you can see why it's so expensive in some places as well to get this sort of work done these days, because, you know, the top guys are going to spend a long time doing this sort of stuff properly. A lot longer than what I would imagine a lot of people give it credit for. And I'm sure there's loads of you that are doing it yourself, and you thoroughly understand the time involved in things. I mean, I'm a sort of a 20-minute job man. That's like, you know, most things to me. Look at it, yeah, 20-minute job. And the reality is, when you get stuck into it, it's far from a 20-minute job. To 20-month job maybe. Hopefully not though, because I want it done quicker than that. Sam, all right, I'm going to crack on anyway. I'll try and get a bit of video here and there for you and put something together. Thank you.
I need them. Please, Daddy.
Say hello to everybody.
Hello. Hello. Wait, is the camera recording? Oh, it is. You have been recording for 12 minutes.
So, what you sort of end up with on these panels are a country mile off. You can see the sort of like the profile edges. I mean, to get the sill in the right position here, I mean, it didn't fit well to the bottom of that door post anyway, so I presume I'm just going to have to sort of tack it where it's good here and just get the hammer and dolly on it a little bit and probably cut into this sill section a bit. Just trying to get this corner to look right. So I think it's going to take quite a bit of work, which is a bit disappointing. It's just hours, isn't it, on stuff like this, unfortunately. But that's what we're up against. I'm trying to get this in the right. I'm trying to get the sill in the right position here, so as the line's right down the bottom of the door. And obviously, I want the bottom of the post to look decent now, and I want it to obviously be strong. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll try and tack it in here now. I'll tack it in here and then take a few more measurements and just check that she's okay, but I think that's roughly where it's got to go. Well, not roughly, I think that is where it's got to go. Every time I measure it, it gets a bit bloody different. Oh, it's so hard. I've probably been a bit too sort of particular. I don't know. How particular do you need to be? I don't want to weld it together and it'd be wrong. But it's, each time I measure it, it seems a bit different. Well, seems to be measuring. It's measuring comparable to that other side. Just doubting myself, obviously, because we've dropped this, we've altered the position of this post. I'm just making sure that we're not on a wild goose chase there, and what we're thinking is right. But it does appear that would be the case. I mean, the reality is these sills don't look like this particular post versus this sill. Just might as well be a sill off a different car going against a different post. It's just miles out. I can measure it as many times as I want. That's basically where it's got to go. But I mean, just like that's just. I can't believe how far off they can be. Is that just how it is? Is that what we're up against? Just going to have to make something work, I suppose, off that. I have to make like a little strip up on it just to join it in there. I mean, it's time consuming, but obviously doing it like that, it makes this TIG work. It definitely, definitely, I think it makes finishing it a lot easier off. Like, you know, if I'd have MIG welded that in, it would have been quite a lot of excess weld. Where, I mean, these panels are shit, aren't they? They're pretty thin. They ain't easy to weld at all. I've been on the bench there practicing on I've got like the old bit of sill that I've cut off, and I've been sort of practicing runs up that sill just with the TIG. I mean, I can't get a consistent run going with it. It's just too thin, the material is. You just end up blowing holes everywhere, so I tend to sort of pulse it on and off. And I feel like, you know, on the grander scheme of things, it's a, you know, that's a pretty decent joint for my level of ability. I'm happy with that. It looks pretty good, I think. Obviously, I've got this palaver now, trying to sort something out with this. You know, I've got a line down the sill there, which is somewhat light, but I need to get, you know, I need to close that panel now to there and work out how best to do that. Look at that. So that's that. I've run the weld over there. I feel like that's turned out pretty nice, in all fairness. I'm really pleased with that. I mean, it's going to like minimal grinding and that, which is what you're aiming for, I think. Now on this side here, we've got a little bit more of a gap to overcome. I mean, I've got quite good at being able to actually build the weld up with the TIG welding and sort of like bring it around, but I think with the best will in the world, that's a colossal gap to build up. So I think I'm gonna cut a strip of metal just to insert into that gap, and then bring the weld up either side of it. You know, I want it to be nice. I want minimal filler as well. I don't want filler clamped everywhere, so I think this should do the job right. So we'll get on with that. So, got that fixed there. I was hoping to have it, I mean, like across the front of there, it turned out decent, but I've had to fill quite a big gap there. You don't want it, do you? When you're trying to do that. I mean, at the end of the world, it'll, it's you know, strong, but a little bit of work to do with the grinder now, isn't there, to get it something like. I'll have a go at that, see what it looks like. Okay then, it's took a bit of work, but I don't think it looks too bad in all fairness. It's on and it's got the shape back, hasn't it? I mean, like this bit round here come out real sound. I couldn't ask for better there really, but obviously there was a bit of a gap to fill in here, so that took a bit of, you know, a bit of effort. I've had to weld it a few times just to get the thickness of the material right round the corner there. Obviously don't want it wafer thin anywhere, otherwise that'll be no good. And I mean, obviously at least I can get to the back of the panel to treat the back of the panel like where the welds come through, but it's, you know, it's penetrated nice. Like obviously trying to keep things all the same thickness on the panel. I think that's about it for today. Oh, I just can't believe how much time it takes to do this sort of stuff. I'm hoping once I start getting a bit more competent with bits, I'll start going a bit quicker, getting a bit more done like, but yeah, there we go. Sorted. Another day done. Get back at it tomorrow. Hi there. Okay. Back at it again. Just like Groundhog Day. Day comes round, escort, sleep. Day comes round, escort, sleep. I don't know how many of these it's going to be, but I reckon it's going to be a few. So what I'm going to try and get sorted out now is I'm going to try and get I've decided to get the A pillar welded in, which means I'm just going to need to take it back off, so I can just sort of prep behind where it's going to go. So a couple of tech fasteners back out, my clamps off, but obviously I've welded it in place there, so I'm just going to knock them little tacks off just so I can remove it back off and possibly look at putting the insert in it there for the stiffening of the back of the post, and then I can I think I can weld it up in place. I mean, I've primed it behind there. It'd be nice to have gone a bit more with the primer, I suppose, but I think it'll be okay. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so just trying to prep these things as I go along and just give it best chance it's got of not going rusty in the near future. You know, you just want to crack on, don't you, and keep welding things in, but obviously, you know, I need to take a bit of time just to sort of prep. I'm really pleased with how that welded together down there. That was a good start. So hopefully I can continue on. I'll let them go off and then have some lunch just now, and hopefully make a start getting that welded into there, I think, which should be interesting. Fresh from lunch, keen again. Going to try and just sort this chassis rail bit out now, so as we can get the chassis rail back in. Obviously it was in a bit of a state, that bit there was, so I'm gonna cut it off here. Gaz has made a panel the other day to replace that front section with, so get that in, tidy up that front bit there a little bit more, and then can tack the chassis rail in just while I'm waiting for the primer to finish going off on them bits that I've painted down there. There we go. Probably easier ways of doing that, in all fairness, but quite like this, a bit gnarly like. Okay, so I feel like that's repaired that chassis leg okay. Obviously that's what we were up against, so that's gone. That new bit's in. You go over the welding when it's upside down on the spit at a later time, because obviously welding upside down is not the easiest of tasks, so I figure I can go over them sort of bits when it's upside down, I reckon, just to tidy it up a little bit. I mean, it's you know, strong, which is what we're aiming for. We're trying to do as neat a job as possible. I don't, you know, I want it to be as nice as possible. I think that's all right for that sort of repair, isn't it? I'm pretty pleased with that. So, okay, probably might tidy that up a little bit in there, although I'm planning on replacing the chassis leg, but might just get it so as it sits in a bit better. I just want something, just because, you know, it's, once the sill goes back in and what have you, I want to be able to sort of get some inroads in towards getting the floor pan laid out in this side, then tacked into the sides of the sills. There we go. I'll do a bit more. So I've just offered that up into place, and I've just made some marks where I feel like the spot welds would need to go. I've got a spot welding tool which I'm going to try and use. I only used it once on my mini quarter panel, but it worked quite well on that, so hopefully it'll do a good job on this. I just want to clean off the mating surfaces between the two panels, because I just find that it doesn't work so well if there's, you know, if there's not good conductivity. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm not keen on that spot welder. I've tried the spot welder there, but I'm not keen on it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with it. I need to have a little play with it. I think I'm just going to drill some little guide holes in and then fill it up with the TIG. So that's about it for tonight. That's coming on. Just working the best way to do things as I go along. So that's a day done. Crack on tomorrow. Another morning in the workshop. Lucky aren't I really, and I could spend this sort of time at this colossal task I've created for myself. Hopefully I'll get something from it, from all the time I'm going to invest in it. What are we up to today then? Well, moving on from yesterday, I've started to obviously get the A-pillar tacked in. I was a bit disappointed with me. I've got a resistant spot welder thing. It seemed to work all right when I did the quarter on my Mini. But I don't have much success with it yesterday, and I was just going to like drill through the A-pillar and just TIG weld each of the little plug holes in, which I can do, and obviously it works decent, that does, but would like to be able to just zip the spot welder down the seam, so I'm going to have a quick play with that this morning and just see if I can suss that quickly without too much time, and then crack back on with this. So that's the plan for today. If you're still watching by this point, you must be pretty into it, so thanks very much for that. I'll try and put a bit of zip into things for you. Obviously, it's hard to stay motivated when you just want to see some progress and still little glimmers of hope, I suppose, but didn't go as fast as I would like to. But then I don't want to make any cock-ups if I can avoid it, which, yeah, so swings and roundabouts, isn't it? All right, Sam, I'll crack on. Managed to improve the function of the spot welder here. Just sort of shaped them little prongs a little bit, and I've just adjusted the tightness bit on the back there, and she seems to be doing a decent job now. So that should speed things up down this side. It's done a pretty reasonable job now of that. I mean, obviously I've got a couple of holes which I've got to fill up there, like where I've drilled through with one, and then I have the tech fasteners in the other. But the several spot welds have gone on quite nice, really. So that's at least something done. I just tied it all up the top now, get it joined in up there nice. That'll be that bit not a million miles off. Right then, that's I've spotted the posting up the side there, up that side, and then I've tigged it over in here. And it's like minimal grinding when you're doing it with the TIG, but I was struggling because it's like it's lead loaded here. I presume that's from the factory here. So I was getting I got a bit of contamination to start off with, so it was like sort of spitting back at me. It was pretty difficult to weld, but it's turned out alright really. It's like I say, a tiny little bit of body filler. It'll be, yeah, that should be yeah, pretty decent job I think. So at least I've got a bit of a shape started underneath there for where the rain gutter's going to come back down here. I'll have to do my best to join that in, aren't I? That ain't gonna be easy, is it? Oh dear me. That ain't gonna be easy at all. But we'll have a go. We'll have a go. I don't know which bit to do now, whether to have a go at just tacking the sill bit in, or whether to do that bit of a rain gutter. I think I'll have a go at tacking the sill in. Might just tack the door on. See how the door's looking. another day done. I mean, I've had a go at welding this sill into this old quarter panel. I'm going to take the quarter panel off anyway, so I was literally just doing this for a bit of practice and seeing how well I could join the panel. And in all honesty, there was a pretty big gap, and I managed to join it, I think, okay. So, I mean, it looks a little more like a car now. I mean, the front part of the sill cut turned out quite nice, really. Got the door jamb in there for the wind strap and what have you. That's all tacked in. It's spotted on up the top there. That's refinished up there, so it's just minimal work for when it's painted to get that looking nice. And then I just had a go at just welding that in there with the TIG welder. I mean, I had to lay quite a thick bit of wire down there, a thicker bit of the wire in the bit of a gap that it had created, but it actually bridged over quite nice, really. It's not a bad method to join the panels, rather than trying to like dab in, laying the wire across the gap, and then coming across the top of the, the wire and the panels. Well, for me, it was working really well with the TIG welder. You could really blend it in. I mean, like for straight off the weld, I don't think that's too bad at all. With a bit of grinding, it'll be pretty sweet, and not a lot of grinding really. I just don't think you can get that sort of thing with the MIG welder, can you? So I might have a finish off of seaming it all in just for a bit of practice. So there we go. Well, it's a little bit of progress. I'm struggling with not losing heart, because the realisation of the size of tasks set in now, and I understand that there's a long road ahead. So it's just keeping motivated, isn't it? Fresh start again. Okay, I'm going to do today, I'm going to continue on from yesterday, finishing off practicing getting this sill tacked into the rear quarter, and then I'll probably start making some inroads in towards tidying up the inside of the inner quarter where the sill and floor and that's going to join into in there, because it'll be nice to start getting something templated to have a go at getting a bit of the floor pan back in. I mean, that'd be amazing. So there we go, coming on, like I say, coming on. That bit's in, isn't it? I was just using this as practice, but it's good practice, isn't it? Moving forward, getting a bit of skill in me for being able to create these shapes and the panels and getting it looking half reasonable. So it's a decent job. Right, Sam, crack on. Right then, I missed a little bit of the footage just from having a little play inside the car here. We ain't really missing a great deal. You can see what I've been up to by a little look around on it there. So I sorted out that chassis rail repair the other day, so that's all sorted. But yeah, we've made a bit of a closing panel there for the bottom of the inner rear quarter. It was really rough, that was, to be honest. So Gaz cut out a plate for me, and I had to go with the TIG welder at Welding, and it wasn't that easy actually, because the material on the inner quarters on these Escorts is real thin. Probably could have done with a slightly thinner bit of sheet to cut the repair panel from, because it was a bit thicker. It was a little tricky getting getting it to go between the two bits. But it's gone in, looks nice. I think that'll be alright. Well, at least little bits are getting done now. I've had a go on the outside here at just joining that, even though we don't need to. I just wanted to do it for a bit of practice, and I can tell you it was bloody hard. Obviously the panel fit was crap and the gap was massive, and yeah, you've got to have decent. You've got to get a decent fit on anything before you start to try and weld it, really. I mean, I can bridge some of the gaps, okay, but it's not. Yeah, it's not ideal. You want a nice flush panel fit wherever possible. And my thinking is when you can't get like a thin panel there, you know, like a thin panel gap where everything's flush, I'm sort of thinking you're better off probably cutting another strip out, you know, at least an inch or two thick, so as it's not too bad with the heat and everything, and then laying it over where the gap is, and then marking it either side and using a finer cutting disc like the Dremel one, and cutting it out, and then, you know, welding a strip in so as you can get a decent join between the two panels if the panels ain't fitting great. I mean, this Magnum sill was pretty poor around this bottom right hand corner of the door. I spent some time on that earlier on trying to get that shape right, because the shape off the press and the way it's pressed, it's just it's no good. They need quite a lot of work there. But I'm learning about this sort of stuff as I'm going along. I'm trying not to lose faith, keep motivated. Obviously, I really wanted to use this car and look at the state of it. Oh, it's going to be ages and ages and ages before I get to drive it. It's a killer. So disappointed, but I'm hoping by the end of this I'll be an absolute shit hot welder. Yeah, it's coming on. Yeah, it's coming on. So I hope you've enjoyed that little video, and I'll be getting some more knocked up. Obviously, I'm going to move on to having a go at putting the floor in now on this side. That'll be a nice sort of step, I think. Try and get the floor in. I did have a bit of a drama actually on the door. The door on this side, it's not a great fit at the minute. The old door post, it was pretty battered and skew-if, so consequently now's the new door posts in, which is nice and straight and in the position where it should be after we've discovered all the other bits and pieces. The passenger side door, it doesn't fit very well at the moment. The door, you know, actually I'll just quickly show you that. The door hinges need some titivation or another door, but you can sort of see on here, obviously these hinges, you can see in the door where it's all like folded and creased here, it's had some right action, so that's going to want some work. I've been sort of looking at the driver side one. Well, the doors are quite rare for them, aren't they? Anyway, there we go. So thanks very much for watching my video. There's a little bit of progress, I suppose, this time, isn't there? It'd be nice if there was a bit more, you know. Wouldn't mind if the whole side of the car finished by now. Obviously that's not the case. Alright, catch you again. Bye.